Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I hope that everybody is fine. It's Monday, and I hope that you have started the week really well. Today, this is not usually a day that I do a live on, but if you remember, I said that I'll be doing some live, more extras. Whenever you come in, people, just give me a comment, write something in the comment so that I will know exactly who is here. Because I'm not able to actually recognize anybody unless you have written a comment. Okay? So, today we are talking about Ded-Lef. Is it worth fighting over? And for those who don't know, Ded-Lef is a Jamaican term that we use to refer to inheritance. So that's what we are talking about. Quite recently, as recent as the 19th of January, a UK resident actually went to Jamaica to bury his mother. Now, 4 days after he buried his mother, and prior to the 4 days, days in between, there have been disputes between him and his siblings, other relatives, over what the mom had left for this UK resident. So you may have heard about it over the news. The UK resident's name is Michael Brown, and allegedly, charged with his murder is his own brother, and his name is Lemon Brown, and it actually happened in Manchester, Jamaica. So can you imagine? You leave, you go down to bury your mother, you bury your relative, and lo and behold, you end up losing your life as well. Not only that, to know that the person who has taken your life is your own brother. And as a matter of fact, I heard that some other relatives are also being investigated over the same incident, over the same murder of this gentleman. Some community, and everything that I'm telling you actually came from the Jamaica Observer, so we know that it actually happened. You may have heard about it as well. I should say as well that in Jamaica, disputes over land, property is perhaps one of the main bone of contention when it comes on to disputes over Ded-Lef. That thing is taken seriously to the point where, just like I've said, this man has actually lost his life. Jamaica has a little saying, that you should take sleep, mark death. Gone are the days when, you can say that, no, I know my brother, I know my sister, I know that they will not do certain things. What you have to remember is that a lot of people will say it. If you have migrated like a decade, probably 2 decades, then you realize that the relationship in some cases actually change between siblings. Sometimes what happens is that some people tend to remember like the relationship, the love, the care, that they grew up with when they were growing up with their siblings, not remembering that siblings, children actually grow up into adulthood where they take on their own personality, their own ethics, their own belief as to what is right and what is wrong. In saying that, it means that sometimes you do not know what the other person is quite capable of doing. So sometimes you can get an idea, right, of what people are capable of doing. Sometimes you have to look at the temperature when you actually, go on holidays. Is it the same? Sometimes you look at, okay, has there ever been any dispute, as adults, adult siblings? What was the temperature like? What was the demeanor of everybody like? Right? Usually that can sort of give you an idea of what to expect, because you better believe that the prospect of gaining property, gaining a piece of land, gaining house, as after Ded-Lef, will heighten, will make the situation, will make people behave 10 times worse than if you have ever had like experience any kind of dispute in adulthood. So that is saying, look, do not gauge. Don't say that, no, I know my siblings, I know my cousin, I know my auntie, I know that they will never ever do certain things to me. People change, and people change when you sometimes you don't even see that when people are changing. I am certain that although they said that, there were disputes. In some cases, the police had to be called, leading up to the death of this individual. I'm almost certain that he probably would never have thought that his own brother would have been responsible for what actually happened to him. So you have to be careful. If you realize that, certain things is going to take a toll, if you realize that, certain things have changed within your family circle, then it's better to walk away from Ded-Lef with your life intact than to actually, end up for any harm to come to you. And unfortunately, in this case, where this gentleman has actually lost his life. Unfortunately, this is not like the first case. This is not the first instance where you hear like siblings actually fall out, have serious disputes when it comes on to Ded-Lef. Because what you have to remember, sometimes the worst that you see in a person is when, like when they say mama, papa is no longer around to actually witness the type of person that, the individuals, the siblings have become when they grow into adulthood. So when they realize that, okay, I don't need to think about what mama will think, I don't need to think anymore about what papa will think of me, then of course they go all out. And sometimes what you actually see is the worst in people. So, you can't really take anything for granted. Myself, and I'm almost certain that some people would share the same idea as well, that for me, if I realize that there is going to be confusion, if I realize that people are going to fight over Ded-Lef for me, I would prefer to remove myself from that situation by choice and to give up my share of Ded-Lef. Because, and I'm not saying that my family in any way would get to that point, but like I've said, you can't there is never 100% trust in anybody. Like I have said, one of the things that you can use to sort of gauge the temperature is that you should look at whether or not you have ever had a dispute in the family. What was the temperature like? Was it fear? Was the temperature heated? Did you see like the worst coming out in anybody? Then that will actually give you an idea of, sort of what to expect. Because unfortunately, like I have said, for some people, not everybody, for some people, what they have realized is that after they have migrated for a little while, is that the relationship is no longer the same. It is not as strong, to the point where people actually see each other, siblings actually see each other just as a foreigner, see each other just like, it's not like that brotherly, sisterly connection. They just see each other just as another person. And if they begin to see each other as just as another person, it means that in order to protect themselves, if push come to shove, like we normally say, then it means that they will do anything to actually, gain. Because when you look at it, when it comes on to Ded-Lef, it's you gaining, the prospect of gaining property, the prospect of gaining a house, the prospect of gaining the land, the prospect of gaining a percentage from the sale of anything. Then you can see the worst in some people. So this is what I want to say. I really hope that things will. I cannot speak for anywhere else. I can only speak of Jamaica at this point, because this is where I understand the culture, and I know that when it comes on to Ded-Lef, that is when you actually see the worst in people. And unfortunately, when the time comes, a lot of people will tend to forget, even if the people, the ones overseas, were actually contributing, to taking care of the parents when they were alive. Once their eyes have shut, everything has changed. It's like everybody is all for themselves in some family, not every family. Some family will stand up and say, look, this is not fair. Let us share it. This is what mama would have wanted. This is what papa would have wanted. Let's be fair. But some families, unfortunately, are not like that. So for me, the advice that I will give you is the same advice that I would give myself, to say, look, if when it comes on to Ded-Lef, it's a serious thing, that people actually lose their lives, just like this gentleman who went down to bury his mother and now he is not coming back alive. If you see that things are getting out of hand, you don't need to see things get physical. Just listen to how people talk. And if you see that, look, it could get dangerous or anything like that, then remove yourself willingly, voluntarily, and don't let it get to the point where you are removed forcefully. Right? So this is what I wanted to say. I am not sure how many of you have realized that today I actually did a little live that I call Business Nuggets. So what I'm going to try to do is to do that more often, wherein if something, happens in the news that does not warrant a long live, then I can just come on and actually say, look, this is my thoughts. What do you think about it? So this is all I have to say. Thank you so much. Have a good night, guys. And I should say, because I have not been saying, guys, you need to subscribe. I know that some of you are watching the videos after they have ended, because I can see that, people have been viewing it. But if you get to the end of this video, please remember that I say hit that subscription button. And in hitting the subscription button, you need to hit the bell that is beside it as well, so that you will be notified whenever I drop a new video. Thank you again for watching this video. And I say, oh, peace, guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye.